What is up, you wonderful people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game I picked up. And I picked it up because it was 80% off, but it was called AI Somnium Files. Now, this game is another kind of point-and-click interactive graphic novel game, which I've known there's like back-to-back reviews. This one doesn't fare so well, and we'll get into that after I remind you guys to please hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, share the video. Let's keep this community growing. We are doing so well. It's awesome, and I love each and every one of you guys. Love interacting with all of you guys, talking to you. It's been so cool as we are wrapping up on a year here. Anyway, AI Somnium Files. So I got this game, like I said, because it was 80% off. Like regularly, it was $39.99. They had it for $7 something on the eShop. Okay, it's worth the checkout, and I know my friend Trotty had bought the physical copy of it. I also knew this was an interactive style novel, which I'm hesitant at. Like those type of games, like maybe I like 2 of them a year. Well, maybe this is one of them. I know Eurokill is definitely one of them. Maybe this is the second one. To check it out, maybe my horizons are broadening and I'm enjoying different types of games. But, something of that nature. So, as you start the game, you are a detective. A very special detective, in fact. You have some psychic abilities and some other extraordinary abilities, some in which are kind of like cybernetic and implanted in you, and others that I think are like a natural talent. I don't know. But you arrive at this scene, a very grisly scene, where a woman is bound to a horse, like on a merry-go-round type thing, and her left eye is missing with blood coming from it. Not a lot, but there is definitely a trace of blood smearing down it. Now, you are basically taught the tutorial in this part. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. You actually get to talk to your boss, whose name is Boss. It's kind of ridiculous. We'll get into her. But this woman, even your boss acknowledges you know her. In fact, this woman was married to a good friend of yours. And this friend and subsequently his daughter and her daughter actually live with you, a 12-year-old girl. I find there to be an issue from the get, but whatever. Like, maybe you're a really special detective and they trust you. I don't know. So you're investigating this area. You're kind of looking for any clues. There's barely any clues at all. The whole crime scene is clean. Your eyeball, yes, your eyeball talks to you. Your eyeball, because your left eye is also gone too, by the way, and it's replaced with this cybernetic kind of software program that can also take shape and size, but it talks to you and says, hey, you should do an x-ray of this area. So you do, and you find the 12-year-old little girl who happens to be your roommate inside of the merry-go-round, like inside the column, and she's holding an ice pick. And this is what you guys have decided is the murder weapon, but she's so traumatized she won't speak. And this is brought up multiple times in the beginning that she's the number one suspect of the murder, and so that's how this game unfolds. Is you're trying to investigate and figure out how to clear her name. But again, I think that happens relatively quick. I don't want to go too far into it because this is the game. This just starts a whole myriad of issues I have with it. As you're investigating and as you're talking to people, including your colleagues and other people, the dialogue is so bad. Like, the banter is horrible. They speak like robots. It's very off-putting, just like reading it. I don't know, like, I don't want to bash anyone, but I swear it's very elementary the way that this game was written. And that's the whole part of the game. Like, the whole thing is reading. The whole thing is like an interactive novel. And when it comes off so sloppy, it's just horrible. It constantly contradicts itself. The other aspect is when you are actually investigating, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a criminal justice major. Well, I was for like a semester. But when a woman is murdered, who's the number one suspect? I don't know, the ex-husband, right? Not her 12-year-old child. But anyway, you're on this, like, the first people you investigate is a friend of the 12-year-old girl, right? And you're talking to her. He's a 14-year-old kid. And he's obsessed with this, like, K-pop star. You run into this K-pop star. She just turned 18, by the way. And you have a crush on her. Like, you're infatuated with her. And she's infatuated with you. And it's disgusting, honestly. Like, this game gets overly sexual at just, I don't know, a drop of a hat. The receptionist where you meet the 14-year-old girl and the K-pop star. Here's the description of her. The receptionist with big boobs. That's literally a description of her. The K-pop star actually cons you into taking her to the crime scene. As you're in the car, this is truly a piece of dialogue from the game. She says, "Holding your hand out of the car window when it's going fast feels like touching D cups." Yeah. Oh, look, it's like touching big boobs. It's so disturbing. Not to mention your boss, the secret, like, police, like, a futuristic crime team that only has 6 people on it, and it's supposed to be super high tech and whatever. Your boss is the most basic person I've ever seen, who often complains about being lonely, and probably throws out that she would bone you, as well as everyone else, including the eyeball in your head, who turns out to, dictate itself as a hot young woman. Who also, again, makes flirtatious comments about boning you. This game is just... Look, I'm not a prude, right? But there's pandering and there's... I don't know. Like, I want a game. I want a story. I want something more. And I continued to make excuses for this game. It's just the character build-up. It's just the dialogue. Maybe I'll get into it. And then I realized I'm making so many excuses for a piss-poor game. Because why? Because there's not a bunch of other amazing games or something? Like, I don't know why I'm making all these excuses for a game that its whole premise is to be an interactive novel, and the writing is awful, and the characters are stereotypical at best. They're kind of disturbing at worst, and you don't actually do anything. Like, I like Eurokill because there's a lot of puzzle solving, and there's things that you have to do to progress the story. This literally is just clicking off boxes, like just check, check, check. Nothing you do or say makes a difference in the entire game, unlike, like a Telltale game or Life is Strange, something like that, where you actually have an impact. No, none of that happens with this game, and it's bad, honestly. I understand there's going to be people who disagree with me and people who love the game, and that's cool, like, awesome, I'm happy for you. I would not recommend getting this game at $15, let alone $40, so... I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it. Curious what your guys' thoughts are, if you've heard of it, if you're picking it up. If I'm wrong, like, tell me why. I would definitely be interested in, maybe the game completely turns around and has better everything. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Take care.